Alright, welcome back to another driveway. Today we're not actually going to do anything because I ran into a couple problems with the Tiburon and I forgot to get a couple pieces of metal from the metal shop, so I don't have anything to do over the weekend. But we could probably start fish mouthing the tubes and everything, but I kind of wanted to start putting down the metal plate on the body section. So I guess first off, let's take a trip outside and take a look at the thing that I found with the Tiburon. Okay, so here is something real fun. As you can tell here, we had some cam issue here. I don't know what in the blazes decided to go on there, but somehow the pin and cam sheared here, so I ended up losing timing here. Made an awful racket and most likely fooked up the entire engine. So I'm probably going to be picking up a different one of those and stabbing that in there. And probably kind of contemplating getting rid of the whole supercharger setup, selling that off and taking that money to pour into the Crossfire project. So I'm thinking I could sell this off and get close to enough cash for the transmission. So that way we'll degrade this from a speedy project vehicle and kind of treat it more as the daily driver beater type of thing. Then we'll look inside this engine, see if there's anything horribly screwed up or if it's just a bunch of parts. But that's kind of what I'm thinking. So I can take the whole intake, supercharger, throttle body, and add with that the bigger injectors, and then someone will already have the bases for stage 2. So that'd be kind of cool. I'll probably throw in the AN fittings that I have for the intercooler piece, but that's what I'm contemplating right now. Probably pick up one of these things here over the next couple days, but yeah, a lot of fun. That's the risk you run modifying vehicles. Something gets wanky and away everything goes. So yeah, that's fun. Alright, so basically you saw there's a issue with the little cam pin. It kind of sheared that off at the timing gear. I don't know exactly what happened, but I drove to work, ran perfectly fine, sounded perfect. Drove it back from work and it started making a really loud kind of a valve clattering noise that's usually attributed to not good oil on some of the Hyundais, but to me it just seemed a little too loud. So I brought it in the driveway, let it sit there, and kind of went out there and took another glance at it and found that gear kind of screwed up the whole thing. So the Tiburon 2.7 is an interference engine, which means your piston and the valves share the same spot area. So as the valves come down, the piston goes away, and as it comes back up, the valves come back into close. So essentially, if the cam breaks or stops moving, you can have the valves down and the pistons will continue occupying that same spot and smash into the valves. So most likely we bashed the pistons into the valves, and that's what the clattering was. So there's a small chance that the engine has survived, but essentially for the cost of those engines is $600. Grab another one, stab it in there, call it a day. But that's going to slow me down on crossfire work, and I'm still contemplating that whole selling off the supercharger system. So if anyone has a Tiburon that wants to supercharge, I think I'd let the whole shebang go for about probably $2,000 or make a deal. Paid much more than that, and currently if you bought those items, it's $3,500 just for the supercharger and intake. And then you have the throttle body that I'd throw in there as well. So anyways, if you're curious in that, message me and we can make a deal. If not, I might keep it, might run it, might accidentally get a Santa Fe and throw it on that just for fun, but whatever. Could just sit on a shelf for another couple years and shove it on something else. But anyways, that's it for the Tiburon today, and we're going to look at a couple things that I foobarred with the roll cage on the Crossfire, and then we'll probably just call it a day because it's hot and muggy and overcast, and it doesn't really feel good to be out in the garage, so I may as well not be out here. But anyways, let's take a quick look and see what I screwed up. Okay, so when I was making the other pillar bar, I ran into an issue with getting things bent. And essentially what I found was on these sharper angles, I need to crank the little, this little block that goes into the bender and actually pulls the tube around. I need to crank that down pretty much like a raging gorilla, otherwise it'll slip a little bit on the tube. And it makes it even worse if you get a little bit of oil or something on it. So I screwed up this one and that one. So that's probably 14 feet of screw up. So it's like $70 worth of tube. You know, nothing big, but luckily the sizes here should be enough that I can cut out the bad parts. I'll have straight enough tubes for the footwell protection in the car and maybe some other door bar and reinforcements and that type of stuff. So that was my screw up on that. But in the end, we end up with our two good pillar bars. Now essentially what I wanted to do before I start putting the fish mouths in the ends and making sure everything fits is that I want to make sure that I get in here with the required plates right in there and right back here. Gonna put some 1/8 inch plate in there and weld her in good. That way we match the specs for whatever class we're playing with. That's pretty much a roll cage requirement, but once we get those plates welded in, then we'll have a good idea where all the rest of the bars should sit, and we can start grinding everything to fit. Because like everything's a little bit long to make room for the plate, and then we'll just start grinding it back and fitting it in and beating it with a hammer. But that should be that. hopefully I'll get a bunch of plates from the steel yard and maybe a new replacement junkyard motor for the Tiburon, and I'll probably, if I do that, I'll probably knock that out over the week just by myself and not record it, just because I can work a lot faster not trying to run the camera around. And we've already seen pulling the motor and everything from a couple videos ago. So that will be the project for the next few weeks or so. And hopefully if I can find a decent buyer for that supercharger system for the Tiburon, we can get moving a little bit faster on the Crossfire. So that is the plan, and that's how we're gonna roll. Alright, so hopefully this video wasn't too boring, but we got a lot of crap to do because about a year ago I had 4 working vehicles. Now I'm just down to the 1. So Raider's still out of commission because I haven't put the transmission back in because it's been deathly hot. Tiburon's out now because of the cam issue, shearing that pin. And of course, Crossfire doesn't work anymore because, well, it's begutted. So we're just down to cruising around in the beater Trailblazer, but that's probably gonna do it for today. Hopefully I can get things working again so I'm back into more vehicles working than not. But it is what it is, and that's the risk you always run when you modify vehicles. If you don't want to run the risk of having something weird break and having to take care of that, then go get yourself a freaking Toyota and drive it and bring it back to the dealership for all your work. So anyways, I'm going to be a lot cheaper than buying a new vehicle, and it's just not quite as fun for me. But anyways, thanks for watching. Subscribe, come back for some more, and I guess I'll see you guys later.